FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
Welcome. You are listening to and perhaps even watching the Financial Survival Network. I'm Kerry Lutz, and it's time for another Triple Lutz Report. This is episode number 485. Well, if you've been watching or listening to my YouTubes, listening to my podcast for the first 10 years, you know that we saw this crash coming many, many years ago. Didn't know when it was going to happen exactly. Didn't know what was going to cause it, but absolutely knew that it was going to happen. And I'm going to give you a warning here. I don't want you to think I'm fear-mongering, that I'm doing this to scare you. I'm not. I'm not scared. And I don't think you should be either. But look, this is Escape from New York and blue cities and major metropolitan areas, I should add, not just blue cities. It could happen in red cities as well, but do it while there's still time, because election day is coming, and with it is more or less an assurance of more civil unrest. Seems extremely likely to me, especially because I believe that Trump is going to be reelected. I was probably the first person on the planet to predict his reelection on November 9th, 2016. I predicted his victory in July of 2015. Doesn't mean I'm going to be right here. I'm wrong as much as I'm right. I predicted that Biden would drop out, that he would be replaced by the powers that be. For whatever reason, that didn't happen. I'm of the opinion that there were plans in place early on to replace him after he received the nomination, after the Democratic convention. But then they looked at the polls and they believed them and said, well, we've got a winning horse here. We'll get rid of him later, maybe under the 25th Amendment. In any event, let me explain to you why I believe civil unrest is coming. First and foremost, because Trump is probably going to be reelected, at least in my opinion, and I could be wrong about that. Either way, life will go on. I'm not staking my happiness or my wealth on the reelection of Trump, but I will say that like the 56% of the people out there who said that their lives have improved, that they're better off since Trump came into office in 2016. Well, I guess in 2017, technically January 2017, my situation has improved, but not for the reason that he's doing such wonderful things. The mic keeps disappearing. Sorry about that. But my life has improved, maybe in spite of all the politics. But I planned for this a long time ago. So look, there's a very good chance it's coming. The New York Police Department is preparing for it. Close friend of mine who's a sister is a New York City sergeant, New York City police sergeant, has been told that she will be working 12-hour shifts right before Election Day, indefinitely into the future, and that she must be on call 24/7 as well. The New York Post has been reporting a major exodus from the city in anticipation of the event. We've got a link to that article in the show notes. It's clear that New York's governor, hashtag Killer Cuomo, and the city's mayor, hashtag Comrade de Blasio, will do little, if anything, to stop the impending riots. I mean, heck, they've welcomed them with open arms and couldn't be more thrilled. Where was the National Guard and where was New York City's mounted police force when they were needed most? There wasn't any sight of them. And this scenario is likely to be repeated in cities large and small throughout the nation. Of course, blue cities and states provide a much more conducive environment to civil unrest than do red cities and states, but no place is going to be exempt. During the summer riots, many red cities in Texas, Florida, Alabama, Oklahoma, and elsewhere were briefly the site of looting and rioting. Red governors, however, unlike their blue counterparts, acted quickly to restore order, but the damage was still done.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next.
Arcana Corporation is on the verge of bringing the world's highest-grade silver mine into production. The Revenue Virginius mine in Colorado has proven improbable silver reserves grading nearly 37 ounces per ton silver, with an all-in sustaining production cost of only US $8 per ounce of silver. The mine is fully permitted, with infrastructure already in place, and the company has announced they plan to commence production in 2020. Achieving successful production usually results in a significant upward share price re-rating on the Lassonde curve. Arcana trades under the ticker AUN in Toronto and AUNFF in New York. To learn more, go to arcana.com. That's AURCANA.com.
The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
As it becomes more and more likely, at least in my opinion, that President Trump will be reelected, the potential for violence increases exponentially. Violence is leftist inspired and both supported and encouraged by wealthy globalists. You know who I'm talking about. It has been pre-planned and orchestrated, just like the riots during the summer. If you think there's any validity to the suspicions here, then now is the time to prepare, and you must plan and practice. So if and when the actual event occurs, you'll be less likely to panic and make potentially grave errors. If possible, it's advisable to flee these cities where the highest level of violence occurred during the summer: Portland, Seattle, New York, Philadelphia, Cleveland, Washington, D.C., Kenosha, Wisconsin, etc. You know the cities. Can't get out, then be prepared with an ample supply of food, 14 days, water, household goods, first aid and pharmaceuticals, medical products, and some cash. That would be the minimum required to ride out the storm. Self-defense items should be obtained, trained on, and ample ammo should be acquired. You should analyze your daily patterns to ensure that you can avoid potential hotspots and places where violence is most likely to be centered. Police stations, city halls, retail shops are all likely targets. You should avoid going out at night and avoid routes in your car that could be subject to blockage. George Mathias gave us some advice. If you wind up in the middle of a violent crowd while in your vehicle, do not, under any circumstances, stop moving or flee your vehicle. A moving target is always harder to attack than a stationary one. Try to move slowly through the crowd, but if you're attacked, do not hesitate to floor the accelerator and get out of danger. Your life and those of your family mean nothing to these people. Next week, I plan to never leave my home unarmed. Whatever your means of self-defense, plan to have it on your person until at least 1 week after the election. We're dealing with an organized and determined plot to destroy the country. The interesting part is that the country has been doing its best to self-immolate for decades. If the left had simply waited patiently, something they're unable to do, eventually they would have had their way. But now they've antagonized and outraged the normies, and the normies are not going to sit by and sit around and wait to be eliminated and attacked. Remember, forewarned is forearmed. Hopefully I'm all wrong. None of this comes to pass, but based upon recent history, it's certainly wise to prepare and plan. And that's all I'm asking you to do. Good luck to everyone. God bless. My thoughts are with you. Just be prepared.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.